Welcome to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be talking about Date for Men by Fragrance One, so stay tuned for that. And if you like the content, guys, hit that like and subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. Now first I want to give a shout out to Chris from Casual Fragrances. He did send me a decant of this one to check out, to wear and do a review on, so I really do appreciate that. I'm going to leave a link down to his channel down below if you haven't checked it out. Do check it out. He puts a lot of content, a lot of videos. Very passionate about fragrances, and yeah, subscribe to him as well. Jeremy Fragrance, probably one of the most controversial figures in YouTube, because he is, partially at least, because he's so popular, but he has released 2 fragrances. This is his second. I've talked about Office before, and the second now is Date. So, of course, this still comes at a very high price tag. I think it's like $250 without a discount. There are frequent discounts that he runs almost all the time, and I will talk about that a little bit later. But first, I'm going to talk about what this fragrance smells like to me, what kind of performance projection I get, and what I think about it. Now, this one does open up with an extremely strong burst of fruitiness. Now, I don't pick out a particular fruit in general with this fragrance, but it does come off very sweet, very fruity, and there's a little bit of a bubblegum vibe to it as well. So it doesn't come off fully like an Invictus or something, but it does definitely remind me of something like Ultramall, and people have made that comparison before. I would definitely agree there is a similarity there, although they definitely don't smell the same. This one has a nice sweet opening without being too much, without being cloying, and it does dry down into something with a little bit of freshness. Actually, I do get a slight freshness in the dry down. That fruitiness does tone down a little bit and definitely is not as pronounced as this one dries down, but it's definitely still there. There's a sweetness there as well, and a little bit of a sugary quality. That being said, I don't know that this one will be one that, necessarily stands the test of time. It has a more modern DNA, but it doesn't smell classic to me. So I don't know how much this one will be loved in, say, 5-10 years or whatever the case may be. But it is pleasant. I will say that I do think this smells nice. This is also one that projects quite strong. So I sprayed this on a test strip and left my room, came back to my room 5 minutes later. That is literally all I can smell. It was like pushing off the test strip like crazy. And on my skin, I do get similar performance to that. So it is one that definitely is quite loud. That being said, and with it being so loud, I do wonder if this is definitely a date fragrance. I know a lot of people have said this would be better for a club, and I think Jeremy even mentioned that this originally was going to be the DNA for Club for Men, and I can see why. It's very loud, it's very sweet. Now, I will say it's not cloying, but it's not as seductive as I would want from a date fragrance. It doesn't have that sensuality. It does have a nice appealing sweetness. That fruitiness is there, and it is a nice, somewhat fresh fragrance as well. So I think it is nice, but I don't know that it would be what I would consider to be the best or even one of the best date fragrances. But again, back to the performance on this one, it does perform well, lasts a very long time. I get in that 10-hour range, and it does push off my skin very strong, even off a test strip, very strong for 3 hours easily with this one. Very, very big cloud, quite the monster. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is often on sale, and I've often wondered why it's the case that, he has these crazy prices like $260, but then there's 60% off or buy one, get one free virtually all the time, which in that case, I wonder why not just have it set at that lower price. I don't find it to be, the first sale might have been an initial marketing thing, but when it's on sale constantly, to me, I don't see that being good marketing. It just makes me think that it's, not selling as well. And maybe if he put it at the price that's lower, that people are willing to pay for it, then in fact he would, have better sales and wouldn't have to put it on sale all the time. So I will say, if you do like this one, definitely wait for it to be on sale, because there's going to be like a 60% off or a buy one, get one free or whatever, if there's not at the time that you're looking for it. So definitely wait for a sale and you can pick it up well. Now, I will say, with respect to this fragrance and Office for Men, I actually think I liked Office a little bit more. I know a lot of people called it something like a Sauvage Aventus mix. I did not really get that from it. Of course, there's a lot of ambroxan. I also got a lot of the orris from that fragrance, and that gave it definitely a unique twist. I didn't really get that Aventus vibe. Didn't come across as sharp as Sauvage. It definitely fit in with those types of fragrances. It definitely fits in with the Sauvage, the Bleu de Chanel. But it was, in my opinion, at least something that put its own twist on it and definitely fit in a unique spot within that category. I don't feel that way as much with Date, and I also feel a little bit disappointed in the fact that he marketed this very strongly as an oud fragrance, and I get absolutely no woodiness whatsoever. And that's fine, and to me that's not a bad thing, but again, when it comes back to how he was marketing it, he shouldn't have marketed it, in my opinion, as an oud fragrance when, if there's oudiness, I can't smell it, and I know a lot of people have said the same thing. There's literally no oudiness whatsoever. I mean, I can see, as he said, do you really want, a heavy oud fragrance for a date? I personally would not. Oud is one of those things, that, especially when it's heavy, that is hard to pull off, and is definitely something that's more for a certain kind of person. A lot of people don't like oud. And so I was a little surprised when he originally marketed this as having, oud and pushed that really to the forefront. But again, there's really no detection on my part of any oudiness. And so I do feel like this one was not as much of what he said it would be, whereas at least with Office, I felt like he did what he said he was going to do. Even though I didn't love the fragrance, it certainly was, in my opinion, what he said it was going to be. Not so the case with Date. But again, it's not a bad fragrance and it does perform really well. But, that's going to be definitely up to each individual. And, I would say get your nose on it if you're interested. If you do like those Ultramol kind of fragrances, this is not a bad fragrance. And it definitely is different from Ultramol, but just as a point of reference, there is that similarity there. Anyways, my final thoughts. Personally, this is not one that I would buy. As I mentioned, if I'm gonna ever pick up one of them out of these two, it would be Office. But it's not a bad fragrance, and if you like it, I would say wait for a sale because they are very frequent, and then you can get this at a much more reasonable price. I've heard of people getting Office for like $80. And honestly, for what it is, I don't feel like that's a bad price. $200 for Office, I don't think so. That's kind of crazy. Same deal here. If you can get it for a good price, I think it's probably worth it in that case. But full price, not a chance. Anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Leave a comment down below. Do you like Office or Date? If so, which one do you like more? If you don't like either of them, let me know. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.